Hey guys, what's up? Coach Adam here from Adam's Fitness UK, and today we're going to be doing a StatSports review. I've done one recently, but it wasn't really a review. I was just sort of mentioning like my campaign with them, even though now I'm doing a second campaign as well, which is good to see. But we're going to go a bit more in depth about the StatSports vest, StatSports app, and the StatSports GPS tracker. So let's start on with the vest. So this is how the vest comes. Here we go. So I've got a medium. So my chest size is around 97, 98 centimeters circumference around the chest. It's nicely fit, it's snug. The actual tracker goes into this little pocket here. And you put it on like a t-shirt or like a bib, just like that, through the head, and then arms go through like that. But yeah, it's quite simple, it's quite easy to put on. And yeah, you can wash it, it's washing friendly. You might not want to put it in the tumble dryer. That's something you might not want to do in case it shrinks. Have a look. Yeah, you can wash it, don't iron it. No tumble drying, it says it all here. You can wash it and just leave it to air dry. Okay, so that's the vest. Now we got the actual GPS tracker itself. Here we go. So it comes in a nice little case, Apex Athlete Series, just in there in black. So then you've got the actual tracker itself. Here we go. And here comes with a little pocket for the wire to charge. So the tracker itself, all you do is you click it once, and once you click it once, it should start flashing, and then you wait for the signal to connect with the satellite. So it's quite simple. But before you do that, if you're obviously buying it brand new, you'd want to connect it to the phone, connect it to the app, and you have to sync that via Bluetooth. So it's important that you do that. And yeah, so that's how you sort of get things set up, get things started. It's important as well you sync it. And if you sort of struggle to sync the session, of course, while this is going and recording, it's on green, you just press sync session on your phone. Sometimes it might not do that. So you can turn off the GPS tracker, you turn it back on, and then you can sync it on your phone as well. So you can try those two ways if the first method doesn't work. Okay, so what does StatSports do? What are they known for? What are they trying to achieve? So StatSports is basically the pioneers of trying to connect performance with statistics, and the StatSports basically tracks a whole bunch of measurements such as your maximum speed, your high metabolic load distance, your total distance. It can also measure your heart rate if you have the heart rate monitor as well, which we'll talk about later. But let's go into the app and have a look at all the stats, and we can go through them, explain them, and go from there. Peace. So here we are, people. We're onto the app. I've clicked one of my old sessions that I've done. So looking at total distance, that's the amount of distance I covered in 42 minutes. Of course, you've got the pro rating that you compare it to, the total distance, the duration. But yeah, you always got that pro comparison as well, which is I find very good as well, and to the community. Then we've got high speed running, the amount of high speed distance you've covered over sort of 19.8 kilometers. So it's not a full sprint, but it's still, you know, a high speed that you're running at. Also, you've got the dynamic stress load, which I find a great tool because it can manage injuries as well, and also takes into account your weight, your running gait, your step balance, all those things, which I find fantastic. Next, we've got high metabolic load distance. This is the amount of hard yards that you put in within a session. So it's a combination of your high speed running distance and your total distance covered. And knowing this, of course, makes you understand how much intensity you're putting within the session. So you've got max speed, probably everyone's favorite one. Looking at your max speed, it compares it to the pro, knowing where you're at against the pro, knowing how much high speed runs you've done or your number of sprints. This is different to high speed running. This is your maximum output. But afterwards, we'll talk about acceleration versus max speed. And this is distance per minute. So how much distance you are covering within that minute. And it comes up with your heart rate if you do have the heart rate monitor, which you can connect as well. So if you go into the analysis section, you can see how you've dropped off in terms of total distance within the minutes. You've got 5 minutes at the bottom, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. and on the side you've got the amount of distance that you are covering in meters or total distance. And this is a good way to analyze your performance, probably better within the games, because when you're training, you're not always going to have that consistent sort of intensity, consistent, set of movements, where in training you probably have a little break in between. Whereas in a game situation, the distance or the meters covered will be a lot more consistent. The cool thing about this as well, you can look at your heat map. So this heat map's going to look unusual because it wasn't in a game. It was more me running and then going to a completely different area. But with the heat map, it's a good way to let you know where you've been running, where you're mostly on the pitch. You can also tap it to change and look at the arrows, sort of the sprints that you've been doing as well, looking at the maximum sprints. Also looking at the percentages that you were on the pitch and what sort of area that you was in the most. Another cool feature that you can try is you can put your stats against the pros, Sterling, Foden. As you see here, I've clicked it. So you can do max speed. Obviously his is 30, almost 37. The total distance that they've covered within a game. And yeah, I think that's a cool feature to then compare yourself to the pros. So your profile, syncing data. You can do a live session, which I'll show you as well. You've got leagues, you've got leaderboards. So you've got a lot of features that you can work with. So here are the leaderboards. So you've got obviously max, that is total distance, and HMLD, the max speed. So all the stats on there, you can compare yourself with other people as well within the community. So you can click the bottom right with the calendar symbol, and then you can go all the way back to your oldest sessions, and you can have a look at that because it doesn't always show up on the homepage. You can always go back, check out your stats. And I think this is a cool feature as well. You can always see where you were a few months ago. Overall, I think the app is very engaging, it's simple to use. And in terms of what it's trying to market, I think the StatSports app is probably the best one out there in terms of its functionality as well. And just to finish off, people, I want to say a big thanks to StatSports. As you see here, I was on around 28 kilometers an hour. And with StatSports bringing the awareness of my own statistics, where I was in terms of my speed and distance and those things. But with the speed, I managed to improve it from 28 and get it up to 32, pretty much 31.9, and I'm very happy with that.